afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports. I'm in the middle of sending out a show to get you all to join us on this Monday edition. And indeed, happy spring once and for all. With Donald Eng, I'm Rob Adams. And say goodbye to Hollywood, as Billy Joel would say. Say goodbye to winter, as we would say. We're done. Put the round ball away. Put the hockey pucks away.
Put the skates away.
Put the skates away.
It's just a great championship weekend. Some fantastic games. I thought the Class AA boys basketball tournament was maybe the best I've ever seen. It was just excitement all around. Great atmosphere at all the venues. And now, on to the spring sports. It never stops.
We will get into that. We will get into a lot more as we move along in this edition of the program. I agree with you. Now, as I've said many times, and folks might even be sick of hearing this, I'm a New Yorker, so I was just not going to pay the money to watch the games. I just, for my own reasons, I decided not to. I had too much going on over the weekend. But I would have put it on had I had CPTV, because they broadcast it. I would have been interested in it. The Staples kids broadcast it, some of the basketball on Saturday, did their usual great job. No radio on that yesterday, Greenwich, on either game, I believe, certainly on the Greenwich-Stanford game. What I'm saying is, Twitter, which is 10 years old today, and I just fired off my 20,000th tweet, in fact, where have I gone wrong in life? That's how I followed those games yesterday, and pretty much all weekend.
It was as good as a play-by-play combo. You had commentary, you had stats coming at you. You had different perspectives. You had the student sections chiming in when appropriate, or sometimes not appropriate. But Twitter was a really great, just because it's the essence of what Twitter is. It's just breaking news that you need to know right now that perhaps you won't need to know 15 minutes from now. And it was a great way to follow the basketball tournaments, the hockey tournament. Essentially every game. Once you get to the playoffs and there's fewer games at fewer venues, you have enough people at these events that you can pretty much keep up almost in real time. I mean, I was actually doing some watching of the NCAA tournament, and you would find out a score on Twitter before you saw it on the ESPN app. So it was it was really fun and a great way to follow the tournaments.
It really was. Thanks to our very own Dan Gardella, who tweeted the basketball games all weekend, did a phenomenal job. I retweeted some of his stuff certainly yesterday. Did a great job. But all the guys that we've gotten to know, and I know there are guys here and there that are like, yeah, you dopes at HAN, whatever. But for the most part, I love all the guys, the media guys. I had a great time sitting with a bunch of them over at Ingles Rink on Saturday. So, you're talking about the Pete Paguagas and the Scott Ericksons and, Mental Ned did a great job, and Mike DeMoro. I know I'm missing names. I can't name everyone, and of course that Greenwich guy, Silver, whatever, he did a good job as well. Anyway, point is, it just made for a great way to follow everyone, not to mention our own guys in-house and the work they did. The work over at Ingles Rink of Mike Suppy and Sean Saylor and the broadcaster guy who tweeted a bunch of stuff. So just, fun way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed in Sean Saylor. He had tweeted news of victory to me all weekend long, but, try again next year, Sean.
Speaking of broadcasting, and I will say this out of respect for brethren in the business, I know CPTV had themselves a rough 5 minutes last night, and you would think you'd want to, here's my take on it, and it's a great comparison that was put out there about the famous Heidi game of 1968. We feel your pain. We have our moments where something goes wrong. I remember the first basketball championship I did at the Sun. We lost internet, and for a good 5 minutes, I didn't tell either Paul Silverfarb or John Kovac, who called that game with me. I just kept calling the game until I could fix it at halftime because I didn't want either one of them to get upset. So just stay the course, boys. Everybody stay calm. Anyway, I thought I'd spend 5 seconds on that, So it goes. We move on.
It was a lot of fun. Like I said, great work by everyone at the venues, keeping everybody informed. It made for a very fun way to follow the tournament, because you almost sort of felt like you were talking to friends or talking to buddies as you're watching the game, because you're getting their thoughts, you're getting their reactions, and you're getting it literally as it happens.
So Hill House does go on and win a championship in double overtime, and I think it speaks to a lot of, apparently FCAC officials did that game, and that regardless of that, but they called every foul. 103 free throws were shot in that game.
103 free throws, 10 players fouled out. Yeah, that you know, I'm all for calling it according to the rules, you know, and if they're going to call a tight game, I think they might have gone with the coaches might have gone with the Coach K theory, you know, that, you know, okay, look, keep playing aggressively. They're only going to call so many fouls, and yet they kept calling them. Normally, when the referees start off calling a game tight, you know, after a while, everyone kind of relaxes into a groove. In this case, they stayed on it. I don't know if that was a state record on fouls called or free throws.
It was rough though.
It did make it for you know, it did make it for, you know, the game. It was hard to get into a flow of the game because, you know, they're continually going to the free throw line, and also again, you know, watching and following the game on Twitter, you're thinking to yourself, how long is this game going to go?
Yeah.
I tune in, I plug in expecting to get a final score, and I'm saying, okay, minute to go in the third.
Yeah, the thought of driving home from that game last night was not a pleasant thought for me from all the way on the opposite side of the state. But anyway, congratulations to Hill House, all the other champions, and certainly in the FCAC, congratulations to Greenwich for making it. Congratulations to the Stanford Black Knights for winning it by 5 over the Greenwich Cardinals in girls basketball. They win Class LL 50-45, and that's one of those special teams that winds up getting the doubleheader, the FCAC championship and the state championship, and Tiana England and the rest of that team. Alexa Kellner, just a sophomore, went and led the Black Knights big time. And Abby Wolf, our hat is off to you as well as you complete your very fine athletic career at Greenwich High School. Yeah,
I mean, that's another that Stanford team was just so impressive. England is just, you know, it's undoubtedly heading on to a great career at St. John's University next year. So great things in Stanford, and again, you know, plenty coming back. So it's not like this team is looking at a big fall off. They'll be back right in the mix next year.
They will.
As will Hill House, by the way. The core of that team, sophomore and juniors. I think they only lose maybe one player that was for significant minutes. So bright future also for the academics.
Absolutely. So we say the Weaver Beavers for the last time for winter, and I know everyone enjoys when I say that. And of course, tip of the cap to our friends in Coggins as well for the completion of their season, although they came up short against Immaculate. So there actually isn't a town of Coggins.
You know, I was thinking about that, about the Weaver Beavers over the weekend, because they had that classic you know, game of the year candidate in the semis against Fairfield Prep, coming up with a 2-point win, and then going to double overtime against Hill House. You know, has any team had a tougher road in a state playoff? You know, so congratulations to Weaver on a great season, 4 championship finals in a row, and this is a team. You know, we're not going to cast aspersions on any team, but that Weaver team is a Class M team that was playing up in Class LL. So props for courage and for taking on all comers by the Weaver Beavers.
Absolutely, and great job by everybody up at Mohegan Sun. I really wanted to get up there, but just it didn't work out for me, and I just was not going yesterday. I needed a day to kind of just sit home and watch Twitter, read Twitter for a bit.
5.5 hours in the car wasn't appealing.
It would have been easily a good 5+ hours for me, so I decided to stay home yesterday. But I did go to Ingalls Rink on Saturday and got to listen to the game on Friday night as well, because of course they had a wonderful game on Friday. We'll come back to Friday. We'll start with Darien, and I don't think now there is any question who the best team in the state is.
No, they were the best team, most people thought, most of the year long. I mean, there was, for a couple of weeks, Xavier took over the top spot, but for the most part, I think the consensus among everyone is that Darien was the team to beat. You know, they went through the regular season essentially without any real major issues. You know, they drop a game here and there, but no, they were considered to be the best team in the state, and you know, and made their way, navigated through the tournament, and they take home their 2nd consecutive state championship.
My sense was a couple of things. When Greenwich beat them, it was a bit of an eye opener.
Right.
But when St. Joseph beat them, you awakened the beast.
Yeah, I mean, I think they went in kind of angry. And that certainly you know, was borne out by the way they played in the tournament. So they played like a team that was inspired, and they and took home that Division I championship.
Well, congratulations to them. It was initially not necessarily easy. It looked like it was going to be a back and forth game. I know this is where it gets tough for Don, but Darien took it to them. really opened up a big lead on them, and the Jesuits couldn't find an answer for that defense. You know, David Voigt did not face that many shots in the end. He only made 17 saves. So it was not like the Jesuits were peppering him. It was the defense of Scott Voigt and Sam Knowlton and some of the other defensemen, Harry Congdon, some of the other Blue Wave defensemen. They're the ones who created the problems, and Voigt was able to handle whatever got out in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's you know, it's something about the program. We talk about you know, losing in the finals as being a down year, but you know, that's but the Darien defense was just smothering, as you were saying. You know, they didn't get that many shots on goal. A lot of the shots they did get were kind of contested or blue line shots, and so that was just something that that defense was just they couldn't figure it out, or if they could figure it out, they just couldn't adapt to it. They didn't have the size to take advantage to get opportunities against that defense.
What we'll do is we will take a break. We will come back. We'll show you highlights of Darien's victory over Fairfield Prep, trying to get a couple of highlights from the Fairfield victory as well. Maybe see if we can find something from Stanford West Hill, if that can work out also. So we'll see what we can do as we come back, and we'll show you a little bit of a special escort that the Blue Wave got upon their return to Darien. That and more when we continue on Nutmeg Sports right after this on the HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious new department just for you. We have vast selections from Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Johnny...
Can't wait for it to get warmer so you can start fishing again? Get over to the Dock Shop, where they have the latest in fishing tackle, marine electronics, boating supplies, and more. But remember, the Dock Shop isn't your average tackle shop. You'll also find the finest selection of nautical apparel, jewelry, home decor, and gifts in New England. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. 102,000 viewers have enjoyed the HAN Network in just the last 6 weeks. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. I'm Rob Adams. Donald Eng standing over there. No show tomorrow, by the way. We will be, as they say in the trade, dark here in the studio. So taking tomorrow off as we hit the road for the FCAC Tour. Get ready for another 192 interviews or whatever the number is. I just stand there and talk to a lot of good student athletes and coaches, and we have a really good time with it. So you will see all those videos coming up very soon as we get into the spring season. But to put a wrap on the winter season, we continue doing so on this edition of the show, including highlights from Darien's very impressive victory over Fairfield Prep on Saturday in boys hockey. Let's take a look at Steve Buno's video right now. So Kangaroo go over, and they did not miss here, Mac Bud.
Good, Davis. What's up, Bono? What's up, man?
And that is Mac Bud you see, in fact, in that very last shot from Steve Buno. Steve's great work, of course, runs at DarienTimes.com, and you can read them in print in the Darien Times newspaper. Before we come back to more hockey, I want to give you a quick piece of not surprising breaking news. This has been talked about pretty much all weekend, but a quick basketball note, and then we'll go right back to hockey, I promise. But Doug Bonjour in the Connecticut Post kind of has the definitive word on Vin Leskowski, who is now the former head coach of Notre Dame Fairfield. In a quote in Doug's story, he says, according to Vin Leskowski, the now former basketball coach at Notre Dame Fairfield, we had an agreement, and Principal Chris Cipriano told me point blank, again, another quote, Vinny, you can finish this out, but we're not going to renew your contract, according to Vin Leskowski. So,
Right.
The principal does say wins and losses, Don, weren't the determining factor.
No, they certainly weren't. Leskowski coached Notre Dame to a 24-4 season this year in his 10 years at the school. 175 wins, 72 losses, 2 Southwest Conference titles, and runner-up finishes in the Class M state playoffs the last 2 seasons.
So Vin Leskowski, 59 years old. He is out of a job currently. If he wants to coach again, he will find a job. He's a good coach. He's got the wins, he's got the losses. Yes, there was some kind of this, that, or the other that goes on, and that seems to be more and more of an issue, not necessarily with the coach, but these clashes between, and I'll say this, and I promise we'll get back to hockey, but I know I'm building my soapbox here as I'm going along. I'm a parent, you're a parent. My son is 14. If he wants to play high school sports, the time is coming. Your daughter's still young, still time. But as a parent, and look, maybe because I did coach him some, I coached him in baseball, nothing major. There are so many parents, though, who think that they are building, in this case, Michael Jordan. And they're not. It's just not that easy. I know this is a whole topic for a whole nother show, and I know I'm like getting skittish.
I would say we could do a week of nutmeg shows on the topic.
We really could. But it just seems between this and what went on down in Wilton with the girls' soccer program, something's amiss in the wide world of sports.
Yeah, I mean, and as I've kind of been saying, is like you know between this and what went on in Wilton, see the problem I have is that I just don't know what went on here or in Wilton.
Yes,
I mean, the principal saying that it was not about wins and losses, which leads you to believe it was some sort of either like a personality conflict or what you might call a personality conflict, but you just don't know. And then. And of course, and the other thing is obviously, when you have parents and kids that are being coached, do you that it becomes is the coach too hard on the kids? How does the coach handle the kids? Sometimes parents don't like it, and again, without knowing specifically what the full story is, it's kind of hard to make a decision. Other than to say that the school had to make a decision, and they made the decision. They told him that he wasn't coming back. He was welcome to come back and coach the team in the playoffs, but that he was not going to be brought back for next year. And so the good news is he then decided that that he wanted to coach his kids, and close out the season that way. So, and as you mentioned, he's 59 years old, 312 career victories, coaching Trumbull girls, Stratford, Norwalk, Bullard Haven boys, and then Notre Dame boys. So 312 wins for Coach Laskowski.
Yeah, we should get back to hockey, but it is a topic worth following up on because we've all seen it. We've seen it as reporters. We've seen it as broadcasters. We've seen heavily involved parents and coaches in the media. It's a topic that's worth pursuing. Let us take another break. We'll come back. We have to get into talking about our own broadcast schedule, and we still have to finish up on hockey. Nutmeg Sports is flying by for a Monday here on the HAN Network.
Had a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
For over 25 years, Mike Cizik Painting and Wallpapering has been the name to know for residential and commercial properties in Fairfield County. He uses only the top brands, including Benjamin Moore, for impeccable preparation and lasting quality. Call Mike now and receive $500 off any job over $7,000. Mike is currently accepting reservations for spring, so call him today at 203-770-8869 or 203-972-3310. For your custom painting, finishing, and staining needs, it's Mike Cizik.
Denali is your outdoor retail destination in the Westfield Trumbull Mall. For the last 21 years, we have carefully selected clothing, footwear, and gear from a variety of the best outdoor brands, such as the North Face, Patagonia, Vineyard Vines, UGG, Merrell, GoPro, New Balance, and many more. Our stores have a friendly, knowledgeable staff to help you with all of your running, hiking, and cold weather needs, and in discovering all things outdoorsy and awesome. Visit us in the Westfield Trumbull Mall or online at denalioutdoor.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports. Before we get to talking about our broadcast schedule, we're going to plan a South by Southwest recap with AJ Simonowski. No, I'm only kidding. AJ is at South by Southwest. We'll see him in a couple of days. I would really like to know his thoughts on how that went, but I do want to get back to talking hockey. I can't wait to hear his thoughts.
He's probably thinking about shoestring hash browns.
Well, yes, he did go to a food establishment I'm fairly fond of. Anyway, Division 2 was won by Fairfield on Friday night. It took overtime to resolve it. We have video, I believe, courtesy of Game Time CT, Eric Gendron. He's saying yes. Why not? Maybe. I always like to give Sean Patrick Boley and the crew some credit. All right, here it is. Overtime winner. Great game. Owen Nemmendorfer got the assist and the goal to Jake Fuss. Who else? He's been really Mr. Fairfield hockey all year, and number 11 got the game winner in overtime. Great game the other night.
It was a great game. It was, and it was strained because you just kind of kept waiting for Fairfield to put North Branford away, and they just kind of kept hanging around, and then of course the game goes into overtime, and then Fuss with the winner only about a minute into the extra session. So yeah, congratulations to the Fairfield Ludlow and Ward Co-op, and hopefully we see them in Division 1 next year.
Now to Division 3. And what a game we saw on Saturday. If a regulation game can be better than an overtime game, it might have been this one Saturday morning between two teams with FCAC ties. West Hill Stamford, of course, known as the Vikings, and arguably some of the best uniforms you will see, and Staples West and Shelton, also a terrific team in their own right. A game that was 4-1 at one point in the third period before Staples West and Shelton crawled all the way back. And I know that just folks who were following along on Twitter, Eric Gendron, AJ Simonowski, Don, I can't remember if you were following at that point, but I know a whole bunch of guys were kind of following along on that game as I was tweeting it, and just in shock at this remarkable comeback by the Wreckers to get it to 4-4. But only about 27 seconds left in the game, and West Hill Staples got a goal from Nick Rich, his hat trick, third goal of the day, and they go on and win the championship. We do have the final seconds of how it looked. Take a look. This is from Mike Suppy. I keep calling Stamford Titletown. Good reason.
I just like that Eric Hayden dash across the red line there. That was impressive.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah,
I
like
love that combination of purple and orange and the black. Great job by Stamford and West Hill.
See, I was thinking the North Branford uniforms were great. I like the shield on their uniforms.
Oh no,
that's spectacular.
Those are great too. So congratulations. With that said, to all the teams stretching all the way across, including track and field and swimming, and you all are remarkable athletes. And again, whether you made it or not, you participated, my hat is off to you, but certainly to all the champions, all the best wishes. Now, very excited to announce, well, we already gave away our first broadcast, but we are beginning to publish the broadcast schedule for the spring season.
Are we going to do like an NCAA bracket special there?
Where's our green screen? We need it. Of course, don't have Charles Barkley work the touch screen. But anyway, we already told you game number 1 of the season will be April 2nd at 11 o'clock in the morning. That is a Saturday. It is baseball. It is Brian McMahon and Norwalk at Nathan Hale Middle School. I'm very excited in that, and this became kind of a goal of mine, that when Doug Marchetti, the athletic director at Norwalk, told me that April 2nd would be the first game at Nathan Hale Middle School's brand new field, I thought, well, maybe we can broadcast it, and we will. Brian McMahon, Norwalk, a game that we saw actually last year. They played twice last year, but one of those games was up, of course, moment of silence, at Cooperstown, New York. This year, they will play at Nathan Hale. We will have the game on April 2nd. Now, to April 4th, we are working on this one, but we are planning on Trumbull and Fairfield Prep at Fairfield University. Still have a T to cross and an I to dot. Otherwise, we'll be there on April 4th at 4 o'clock. Then we get to
baseball too, right?
Yes, that is baseball. Then to Tuesday, April 5th, we will get to girls lacrosse. You got the schedule in front of you?
I actually don't.
Okay, I didn't want to keep you out of the fun here.
Nope.
All right, as Don gets the schedule in his hand, I will tell you girls lacrosse, April 5th, John Jay, New York, and New Canaan. So it's the Indians and the Rams at Dunning Field at 4 o'clock. And, of course, lacrosse games, barring, spring, of course, if there's rain, it's going to impact baseball or softball. So long as it's not thunder and lightning, you will likely see lacrosse get played. So just so we know about that. We move to April 6th now. And this is at 4:30 at Dunning Field. Fairfield Prep comes calling on the New Canaan Rams. We did that game last year actually at Rafferty Stadium. This year we'll do it at Dunning Field. That's boys lacrosse, April 6th, and that is at 4:30. On April 7th, keeping our dance card full, Darien and Ludlow at 4 o'clock. Don, what sport will that be on April 7th? I'm saving it for you.
Girls tennis.
Indeed. Tennis.
On the radio. I'm excited about that. Or on broadcast.
Well, on broadcast. On video. We'll have it right here. And I have a tennis person, a tennis analyst in the building, no less.
You do?
I do. He sits right near you.
He does.
He does. Tends to stand in his desk
a lot.
Yes.
Huh.
Tends to be a bit of a tennis fan.
Spectacular.
Josh Fisher.
Yes.
Will be on the call with me for that one.
He might be the biggest tennis fan I know.
Pretty much. Pretty much. We move to April 11th and back to baseball. And again, this one, this is scheduled for Cubetta Stadium. Now, that is April 11th. And again, we intend to be at that broadcast. But again, some of these sites, there's still a little bit of, dot the I, cross the T that we have to figure out. And in this case, it's with the state of Connecticut. So that's 4 o'clock, Norwalk and Trinity Catholic on April 11th. To April 12th. Greenwich and Ridgefield in boys lacrosse. That's 6:15 at Tiger Hollow on Tuesday the 12th in Lax. One of the reasons this game meant something to me, and I know we're dipping a little bit into overtime, or extra innings, if you will, Don, is that in our first year of doing radio, the first lacrosse game we did on the radio, in fact, this is 2 years ago, John Kovach and I did Greenwich and Ridgefield. I think they might still be playing, or it went to 4 overtimes. I'm trying to remember which it was, but they did resolve that game. I think it took 4 overtimes in the end.
Yeah, that's competitive. One of those marathon sports, and then you just kind of hope that the game concludes before the sun goes down and the temperature starts dropping.
They do have lights at Tiger Hollow. To the 13th. Baseball at a really good site for baseball. Stamford and Staples at Staples High School at 4 o'clock. And both teams, Staples was right there in the championship game last year. We know how great Staples Wilton was last year. Stamford always has good baseball as well. We will see Stamford and Staples. And the parking lot looks over the field at Staples High School so well. And creates a bit of a short porch out in left field for you right-handed hitters. So cool site. We'll be there on April 13th. Let's go to April 15th, Don, as we're paying our taxes.
Yeah, on Friday, April 15th, New Canaan at Darien in baseball, that at Darien High School, 4 o'clock. Again, it's the biggest rivalry in the FCAC. It doesn't really matter what the sport is. Baseball, football, chess, whatever. Those two schools always want to beat each other. And then a doubleheader the following day.
Yeah, really good one. It is a bit of a tournament on April 16th. Darien and Manhasset, Long Island, New York, will play in boys lacrosse at 3 o'clock. And then Ridgefield and Garden City, also from Long Island, they will play at 5 o'clock, both those games at Tiger Hollow on April 16th. We move to April 18th, and we'll take you through the balance of April for now. We'll let you know about other games coming up, and then we'll wrap up the show. So a little bit of extra innings here on this Monday edition. Don, as we move on to April 18th.
We have more baseball, Darien at Danbury. That's at 4 o'clock from Danbury High School. Couple of schools really with a big baseball tradition. And I think that is, if I'm not mistaken, that is our first Danbury game of the season.
It will be our first Danbury game of the season. We were at Danbury for some football back in the fall. To April 19th, boys lacrosse, Greenwich and Staples. That'll be at Staples Stadium, 5:30 that day, as we move to April 20th, and we do something even more different.
and quite noisy. That's the one thing you know about this sport is it's always a challenge to be heard over the crowd. It's volleyball. Darien against Ridgefield at Ridgefield. That's a 5:30 start in the Ridgefield gym. So that's boys volleyball.
That is boys volleyball. Yes, it is. To boys lacrosse on April 21st. We go back to Cardinals Stadium in Greenwich for the first time in a while. New Canaan and Greenwich, and again, you talk about two schools, New Canaan and Darien for sure. New Canaan and Greenwich also don't like each other a whole lot, so we'll have that boys lacrosse game 4 o'clock that day on the 21st, April 25th.
And then that's going to be softball, Danbury at Stamford from Stamford High School. That also a 4 o'clock start in girls softball. The Hatters and the Knights.
By the way, no truth to the rumor that I'm trying to get that game moved inside of Boyle Stadium. It will be right on the very edge of Boyle Stadium.
It'll be near Boyle Stadium.
Right near, close enough for my taste. April 26th, we go back to boys lacrosse. It is Staples and New Canaan as we head back to Dunningfield. That's a 6:30 start time to April 27th.
On the 27th, we have more lacrosse. It's the Manhasset people again. In this case, it's the girls from Manhasset. Girls lacrosse, Manhasset, New York against Darien. That from Darien at 4 o'clock.
That's right, at Darien High School Stadium, which does not have a name, to April 28th. Again, intending to be at Cubetta Stadium, State Willing, Wilton and Trinity Catholic, as we finally get a look at the defending champion Wilton Warriors as they take on the Trinity Catholic Crusaders. That's April 28th. Again, Trinity Catholic does not have a baseball field this year, so they are using Cubetta Stadium. And look, for my money, Cubetta Stadium should be a high school baseball field all year round. It is a fabulous facility.
It is. It's one of those jewels of Connecticut baseball. Like, of course, now I'm drawing a blank on it. The like Muzzy.
Moment of silence for Muzzy Field.
Those old yards are a lot of fun.
Muzzy Field. Anyway, so we'll be there for that. Don, April 30th.
We close out the month of April with lacrosse. That's on the boys' side. New Canaan at Darien. Those two again. New Canaan, Darien, from Darien, 1 o'clock on Saturday, the 30th.
So it's an exciting schedule, and we will have more in May. There are games we've already picked out for May. But, right now we're keeping our dance card open. We've got a couple of games lined up. In fact, I look at May 2nd just as an example. I won't tell you the games yet. But, I already see 2 baseball games and a softball game that have been identified as potential games. But what we're trying to do is not give you the full schedule, in part so that we can look kind of down the road and say, okay, well, School A and School B are playing. They're both having great years. Let's do that one. And that way we're not really eliminating anybody off the schedule. Hopefully we're able to keep this as is and then be able to kind of flex in as we come along. So it's, we're still evolving with what we're doing here, and it's exciting to see this schedule. It could be upwards of, again, another 40-plus games by the time we're done with the spring.
And the varied sports, a lot of sports that you don't really see a lot of, or that take place during the day and you can't get to. I'm excited to see girls tennis being broadcast. Also, boys volleyball. So a lot of these, a lot of these sports that I think really deserve some attention for their student athletes.
And we're still, again, evolving. We're still learning some of this stuff. Girls tennis will be, I don't want to say it's an experiment, but it's going to be, how do we get the camera angles just right? Where can Josh and I call the match from? Where will Eric be set up? Where will the RV be? That's always important. No, well, we know where the RV will be, but
where are we going for lunch?
Where are we going for lunch? I mean, these are important things. No, but seriously, there are tons of questions that we try to face, especially for these new situations that we're stepping into, like girls tennis or boys tennis for that matter. So it is exciting.
Yeah, and everything. It's an opportunity just to learn and just expand.
And that's what we're doing. With all that said, we've taken enough extra time of yours for this Monday. Now we are off tomorrow. Hopefully see Don for a few minutes Wednesday. We're working on that.
That'll be fun if it happens.
I'll tease it that way.
If it happens, it'll be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun. And then Dave Stewart will join me for the balance of Wednesday's show. So we'll see you on Wednesday for that. We won't see you for coffee break tomorrow morning. However, I will tell you to keep an eye on HAN.network, and we'll be putting some things up as the day goes along, but we will be on the road with the FCAC Tour. That will do it for Nutmeg Sports. For Donald Eng, Eric Gendron, our entire HAN Network crew, I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy your night. We'll see you for sure on Wednesday. But for now, thanks for watching Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. See ya.